love Michigan sports. Red Wings, Lions, Tigers, Pistons, Michigan State, and the list goes on. And you love beer. Who doesn't? What if we mixed the two together? This is State of My Sports. We'll talk everything Michigan sports, like only we do, and then we'll down our fair share of beer from a local brewery, grading the beer throughout the episode. So pop a cold one on your end, and we'll get busy on ours. This is the State of My Sports.
That's the problem. Now you can hear me on the live stream. We could do it the whole. That's all perfect.
You just want to redo it?
No, because that was just on the live stream.
You messed up like 4 times though.
I messed up a lot of times.
You could redeem yourself.
No, I'm good. I'm all right with it. I don't need to worry too much about it. But yeah, I think we're good now. The funny thing is the podcast side of it is actually perfect. I did great.
Great.
It's just the live stream didn't go great.
This is great
I promise you
podcasting.
that's the way it works. I promise you that's the way it works. But it's just people.
Wink,
all right,
wink.
Yep, we can be heard now. Thank you for jumping in there, Brittany. And you should thank me later for helping you set up tables the other day.
Ooh.
She did. She was very grateful. Very grateful. Lost track where we're at, but
Anyone would.
yeah. Before we jump in, I did want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors that help keep this thing rolling and free for our listeners. DeHop's Brewing Company and Cafe is the official brewery of State of My Sports, and bettinghero.com helps us, and you get the best promotions available in the sports betting world. I'm Sam Waldhart. With me today, we got Micah Smith.
What's up?
And Ryan Waldhart.
Hello.
That is who that is right there.
Back in the saddle.
It's been a while,
Back
man.
from a long vacation.
I want to know what you did every Tuesday since you were last on. So that's
Oh man, a lot of work.
a lot of work.
A lot of travel. That's about
Doing
it.
good though.
Yeah, sort of. I'm staying in there.
You're staying in there.
Staying in the fight.
You told me you were going to make it. Well, first of all, you told me maybe yesterday. I was
maybe.
just like, oh my gosh, please.
I didn't say no, right?
I know exactly. I knew that was a step because you said mid-November. I didn't know if it was mid-November yet. And then I texted you today. I was like, all right, Ryan, are you going to be there? Because I just want to know. And you said you were in, and I was really happy.
Yeah.
I'm excited to know what you're thinking about all of our football teams.
Well, yeah, because
this is the fun time of year, and you've been gone
before
for
like any football started. I haven't been on since.
Yeah, I don't think you've been on since week 3 of college football.
Maybe.
And what are we, week 9 or 10?
I missed the season preview for the Lions.
I think you did.
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh man, that's how long it's been.
Yeah.
So we don't know anything about your Lions thoughts.
You guys are gonna be shocked.
Yeah, I'm sure we are.
Oh.
Buckle up.
Jeff Okuda, MVP.
Buckle up. Well, I mean, really glad to have you back. Obviously,
Thank you.
Running the board like it's just riding a bike, right?
Yeah, not really. I
Just
kind
don't
of
touch
looked
it.
at it and I was like, wait, I could mess this up really easily.
Just don't touch anything. We're good to go. I think we're all
Sounds good.
set. Let's get into what we're drinking tonight. You guys know what you're drinking? I honestly forgot what I'm drinking. Oh, I'm drinking the strawberry cucumber beer sour from DeHop's Brewing Company. Obviously,
Pretty good.
we're here. Yeah. I think I've graded it before. I don't remember what I graded.
I think we've graded all these beers before.
Yeah, so that's one bad thing about them being shut down is they're not coming out with new beers.
Yep.
So it's kind of the same old stuff, different day, but we're keeping tradition alive. Second Tuesday of every month, we're here.
For sure.
So we're not gonna let a. I mean, hey, if they're gonna give me a key, it doesn't matter if they're open or closed. Like, we can just kind of be here, right?
We'll just open it.
It's open for us.
It's open for us. So this was the first time that, as I'm setting up, people didn't like walk up to the door like all excited, and then they're like, "Oh, it's you."
Oh,
no.
it's the
Oh,
podcast.
it's the podcast.
Really? You've had people walk up?
Oh yeah.
Because
Like,
you set up right here.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is our second time here, but like even when I was first like loading up when we were still upstairs, I think a couple times ago, people were like coming up to the door, and I would like lock it. They're like, "What in the world?" No, I'd have to tell them, but yeah, they saw a car in the parking lot, like, "Hey, it's open," and then they get disappointed. But hopefully
Yep.
they open again soon.
We'd like that.
But what are you guys drinking? Do you remember?
Thirsty Miner.
Thirsty Miner, solid pick.
You can find
Solid
that
pick.
at the Mines Golf Course as well.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
it's a good one.
Yep.
I'm drinking the cider.
What do you think? I don't think I've ever had this. So it's not actually a DeHop cider. Where do they get their ciders from? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Is it Farmhouse maybe?
I think it might be Farmhouse. That sounds right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe they could find something.
Yeah. Either way, I like it, though. It's pretty good. I mean, I didn't really want to drink beer, so I mean, since the podcast, I've hardly drank any beer at all.
You all
I
beered
kinda-
out?
You
I
don't
kind
wanna
of like
get
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've grown accustomed to life without beer. So
Honestly, I could
right.
go without beer for a while. Like
my gut just thanked me.
it's rare that I'd choose a beer to drink nowadays outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, but this is kind of
Yep.
how it goes. You the same
Welcome
way?
to the club, baby.
I don't know, like.
Yeah.
I bought a bottle of bourbon from actually when I was on vacation in South Carolina. I bought a bottle of what was it, Woodford Reserve? Is that what it was? I think I sent you a picture or something or asked you about it.
Definitely not Woodford then. It looks like New Riff or something.
No, the one that I bought when I was on vacation. It was Woodford.
Woodford. I think
it was Woodford.
Oh,
Sent
sorry,
it to me
double
too.
oaked.
Yeah, I think it was.
No. Because
was single oaked?
Single oaked, and you were not blown away by it. And then I said, well, what they're really known
That's
for is
right.
they're double oaked. And then I poured you some the other day.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, it is a lot better. It's a
It
big
is.
difference between the double oak.
It was
and
a lot
normal.
smoother, I would say.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the burn. But then I also got what is it? Double riff? Is that what you called it? Or riff?
New Riff or
New Riff or
something
something?
Riff. I don't
But it's
know.
like
yeah.
at Siciliano's, and you could they picked out this specific barrel, and they got their bottles and their name on it and stuff like that. So I got that from.
Oh, cool.
I haven't opened it yet though. I'm hoping to this weekend. So.
Nice.
There's a liquor store in Easttown called Smitty's. They do that a lot. They
Do
get
they
their
really?
own barrels a lot.
And then they actually had the barrel sitting there too.
Yeah.
I guess they get to keep the barrel. I didn't know that,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
You literally buy the barrel and what's in the barrel for
Yeah.
sure. Yep.
Do they?
Whoa.
Well, they put it in the bottles for them, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Whoa.
How much does something like that
Really?
cost? You think?
A lot.
Does it?
I don't know.
Like it's not anything that we could afford. You don't think?
I mean, we could afford it. Do you want
Hey,
to
come on.
afford it?
I mean, could we put our money
No,
together?
I'm saying we can afford it. I mean,
How much is
you-
something like that? Like how many bottles is in a barrel?
Let's stop the podcast. Let's figure this out. Put some research in and make an
I'll
informed
put
decision.
some numbers down. We'll revisit this at the end.
I think it'd be kind of cool to do that, right?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I'm not saying for the podcast. I'm just saying
In general.
just in general for
Oh, it'd
all
be
of us.
Yeah,
awesome.
we're not sharing
And then
with
we'll
people.
go
This is for us.
because once you do it, you get to go to the place and taste test it, right? To pick out which one you want. Don't you get to do that?
You can
that's
do-
part of the purchase. I
You
would
can do that
assume.
at Jack. We took a tour of Jack, and obviously Jack is just straight Tennessee whiskey. It's a
you
bit
talk
different.
about Jack like he's your friend or something.
Jack
it
is
first
his
name-
friend.
Daniel.
first name basis?
For sure.
First
Jack
name
is his
basis.
friend, yeah.
Everyone's on a first name basis with
Jack.
Jack.
Yeah.
No, you actually do go down to Jack. Like when your barrel is ready, you go and taste or when your barrels are ready, you go taste 3 different barrels, and you get to pick out of the 3 or whatever.
Okay. We could do that with Coppercraft maybe.
Oh yeah.
I think we could do that with any of them, and that would be really cool. We should look into it.
Yeah, I think we should do it with Coppercraft and see if we can get a.
Although the Kentucky
Sponsorship
Trail
on
would be
there.
fun to do it on. Just find
That would
one
be
down
cool
there.
too.
Amen to that.
Do they have better
Yeah.
bourbon than Coppercraft? You think,
Yeah.
or Eastern
100%.
Keel and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No,
What-
no offense to
What
here,
is it that
but
you guys like about it? Like, what's different about it? Is it just smoother? Is it like what is the difference?
it's the history and the wood they use and the charcoals that they use to do their process is
It's from a very
so
specific region.
drastically different than up
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
It's no different than wine from like California to Italy to Michigan. It's just the nature of what's around you.
Yeah. I mean, some people have preferences outside of Kentucky, but Kentucky just has the flavor. It's like a really full flavor that you don't just get everywhere. So
What is the one with deer antlers on it?
Deer stag?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Beam. Jim Beam. Does that have deer antlers?
Yeah.
So Trav, I was at his house, and he drinks Beam and Coke. Do you guys like Beam or no?
I don't drink it with Coke, first of all. But
No.
I'll put my money somewhere else.
Yeah.
Jim Beam is
Yeah.
like, I mean, I did for a while, but that's like as cheap as you can go.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, this was our beer introductions for the people that were wondering.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's kind of what we kind of have to do when we're drinking all the same old beers from DeHop's. That Ben's got to get out some new ones here, even just for us in general. Like,
Brewer Ben.
yeah, we got to get some beer going.
Crack that whip.
Yeah, I should ask him if we can brew one. I mean, just for fun. He's not
Yeah.
doing anything else, I don't think.
Probably like, I'd love to do something.
He's like, what?
He probably has another job.
Maybe. There's a good chance. But before we jump into episode 180, I want to remind everyone that DeHop's Brewing Company and Cafe is currently closed. No information, nothing new, but we're here drinking their beer,
Yeah.
telling you guys about it, telling how great it is without you having the ability to drink it. But
Good luck.
what was that going? Oh, but we will let you guys know as soon as something's announced. We'll keep an eye on their social media. Keep an eye on their social media as well, and then we'll share it on ours as soon as it's available. But I mean, really, other than that, we're just kind of moving on to some football. If you guys are good with that.
Football.
We may not be the authority, but we love both like
job's
a
hard.
fat kid loves cake.
I think,
This is State of My Sports.
I think you can leave it there the rest of the time. I really do. But
see.
moving down to the next page, the Detroit Lions win their second game of the year against the Green Bay Packers, 15-9,
Whoa.
to improve their record to 2-6 and hand the Packers their fifth straight loss to fall to 3-6. It was a pretty ugly football game. Mike and I were watching it together, and we're like,
Freaking brutal.
"Oh, do people really want to watch this game?" And what did we say? It was like, it was at halftime. Do we really want to go back out there and do this? Like, their probably just like, nah, let's call it a day.
Flipping a coin.
Yeah, it was,
I think
it
it was
like either
50.
team wanted to be there.
I think it was either my wife or Brittany said, "How is this game not on Thursday right now?"
It was a Thursday game for
Right?
sure. It had the quality for it.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, hey, you'll take a win any Sunday. Really is kind of the way I look at it for the Lions. And unless you're already in the rooting against them part, I mean, you're kind of happy with it. That's what is this comment here, Kyle? Is this a podcast? Do you guys do this regularly? How do the Yankees look? That's my question for you. Like I said, it wasn't pretty with the numbers. The Lions took an 8-0 lead into halftime after only allowing the Packers to have 3 total possessions in the first half, with a bend-and-not-break type defense and forcing 2
Kyle.
interceptions in the end zone. The first 2 Packers drives by rookies Kirby Joseph and Aiden Hutchinson. Rookie tight end James Mitchell's touchdown early in the fourth quarter made it a 2-possession game. But like the Packers and Rodgers do, they had a chance to tie and or win the game late, but the defense stood tall in the red zone and forced the turnover on downs, which is not usually how the games end with that team. Very excited. And look, I don't know where I'm at with this team. I really don't know, but I was happy to beat the Packers. I was happy to win this game. I went into this game thinking, all right, this is my last chance to cheer for them for a winning. You know what I mean? Like, because if they lose this game, it's like, all right, I'm all on board for the tank completely. Like, we're, week 9, week 10 or something like that. It's like, this is time to lose and worry about that draft pick. But this win will probably mean nothing, and I understand that. But it also is to the point where it's like, okay, you start doing the look ahead, and can they salvage this season? Probably not. but that chance is there, is the way I kind of looked at it. If you lose this game, game over. You're done. Move on.
What is salvage to you? What does that look like?
You know,
Just loosely, I guess.
I think if they can, if they could win 5 more games and with like 7 wins or something like that, that's kind of where that was kind of where we thought that was kind of the floor I had with them. I had a higher ceiling, obviously, and I think we've seen why they could have a higher ceiling at times. But that's kind of where I'm at. Is the 7? Like, if you can get to 7 wins, I'd be like, okay, we're learning more about Dan Campbell's coaching abilities and this coaching staff's abilities. That's kind of where I'm at. Is I want to learn more about them. I'm not saying that they're going to compete for the playoffs or anything like that. I understand that's a pipe dream when you start 1-6. Now you're 2-6. But at the same time, I look at that schedule, and I look at everybody that's in front of them, and I look at the conference, and outside of the Bills, I'm not going to go into any one of these games and be like, yeah, they have no shot of winning this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the opposite could be true, too, because I'm just looking at the schedule. The Giants weren't supposed to be good. The Giants are good.
But they're still beatable.
The Jets were not supposed to be good. The Jets just beat the Bills.
But they are still beatable.
Well, anyone's beatable at this point, right?
Outside of the Bills, in my opinion, for the Lions.
Jaguars are way better than people thought they were. Panthers are way worse than people thought they were.
Yeah, but
to the contrary, the Bills have 2 losses.
Yeah, it would be stupid to say that the Lions are going to go in and go beat the Bills.
Yeah, you just know the Bills are better.
I think that would be a flat-out stupid statement to say that we're going to go beat the Bills. But I don't think it's stupid to say we're going to go beat Chicago twice. We're going to go beat the Jets. We're going to go beat the Giants. It's not a stupid, idiotic thing to say. You know what I mean? Like, there is merit to it because you have the positives that we have seen about the Lions, in my opinion. Now, do I think we're going to go out and win all these games outside the Bills? No, I think that's a pipe dream. But I don't think it's impossible either. And I just want to see if we can get this ball rolling. If you can go out and beat the Bears this week, man, this is starting to turn into something. And I know it's only the 3rd win, and I'm not going to overanalyze it or anything, but it's like you can start seeing the positives that we saw that turned into losses, those same positives turning into wins, or even not positives turning into wins, kind of like last week was. That's where I'm just going to be like, all right, I'm back on board because I was almost completely off the Dan Campbell bandwagon.
Jump the ship.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I was almost done with Goff, all of those things in the hope of being able to not have to draft a quarterback. Like, all of these things that's what we're all fighting as Lions fans is we want to know, right? We want to know what this team's going to be moving forward. And if we're going to continue to have a coach that makes bad decisions that cost us, that's questionable. That's scary, I guess, in a lot of ways. And if we're going to turn these games into wins, that's where I can get back on board and back to the why I was somewhat optimistic about this team heading into the season, if that makes sense.
So I want to look at it from a different angle because I think what you're saying is right. I mean, that's what Lions fans have been wrestling with this whole time. They want to know about Jared Goff. They want to know about the coaching staff, whether they jump ship from the regime that's currently there. My problem with that line of thinking is it's very, very short-sighted. This is year 2 of the Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes experiment. Brad Holmes, every year that he drafts, we think that he wins the draft or is at one of the top teams. Like, he does a good job in the draft. We haven't seen all of our draft picks come to fruition yet. We've seen a lot of injuries with some of them. And we've seen Jeff Okudah have some strides and look like a legitimate cornerback that I'm not saying is a dominant quarterback in the league, but he's serviceable, right? You can put him on a defense, and he's made really good plays for us in big situations. He's also given up a lot of first downs or some touchdowns here and there. But it seems like we've gotten some, I don't know, we've gotten some stability out of the players that we had question marks of. And to jump ship on a team that is relying so much on a bunch of rookies and second-year guys is not reasonable in my mind. And I've never considered Jared Goff the future quarterback of this team. Jared Goff was a rental. He was supposed to get us by so that we could focus on other areas of the team like wide receivers, our defense, defensive line, pass rushers, everything that we don't want to or organizations would like to build up before they go invest in their future quarterback. This was our opportunity to do that with Jared Goff and let him just run the team. He might be a good leader. Great. lead your guys for a while, but then eventually we're going to go off to bigger and better things. So
Yeah.
in my opinion, this next year was always going to be the year for the quarterback. We're going to go draft our quarterback. And really, there's nothing Dan Campbell to do in my eyes right now to make me jump ship from I don't know, to overreact to the results.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think this team is good right now.
No,
I think the team is still in the learning phase, and I still want people to step up on defense to know if Kirby Joseph is going to pan out. I want to see if Melifanu is actually a real player if he ever gets healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Unzurike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, those are some high-end draft picks, second and third round draft picks that we haven't even seen if they're any good or not.
Yeah.
So to jump ship right now, or to just, like, I don't know, assume that Dan Campbell doesn't know what he's talking about, like, why wouldn't we try to go win games and have some risky, aggressive calls when our team sucks and we're worse than the other team?
Yeah.
You might as well take
You
advantage
have nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think I've been
Right.
trying to say for
Right.
20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I
job.
would disagree with you
Thanks.
about the Jared Goff thing. Like, I don't think he's our future quarterback necessarily, but I had that hope that he's the one that can not force us to draft a quarterback when we don't necessarily need to. You know what I mean? Like, if we could get through this draft without taking a quarterback in our first pick,
The next one?
or this upcoming draft, if we can get through this, like, we're potentially gonna have 2 top 15 picks. Probably, I think that's very easily could happen.
That's the plan.
Possibly even top 10 picks. Like, if we could go through that without having to take a quarterback, let's say the third best quarterback in this draft, like, that's where I'm excited. Is like, I don't want to take a quarterback because, well, this was the year that we had to take a quarterback. And if we continue to have Jared Goff there, which I think we still have that ability to use him as, we don't have to force a quarterback pick just for the sake of taking a quarterback. You know what I mean?
Are you saying hold off for a quarterback for the following?
I think if every single year that you can hold off, I think we should. Personally,
That's not true, because you're not always in that draft position to pull the trigger on a high-end top talent.
But we mentioned something a couple weeks ago, I think it was, about letting this regime get too far down the road in your years 3 to 5, and, like, be facing that impending doom of, hey, we're about to get fired, but we're gonna make, like we talked about, we're gonna make this QB pick and try and, like, save everything that's going on. Like
the Bears
don't
did.
let yourselves get to that point. Like, I think this coming off season, this upcoming draft, is an excellent opportunity to select a top tier QB and let him develop over the next 2 to 3 seasons and see what happens.
I think part of the reason why I'm want Goff to succeed is because I'm kind of falling out of love with some of these top quarterbacks. And I know it's still way too early to dig into that. I don't want to get into draft.
CJ Stroud.
No, for sure.
I don't like CJ Stroud anymore, and I never really did personally. I think we'll get into that kind of stuff when we get closer to draft time. But I think partially falling out of love of these top quarterbacks that we were supposed to be top 3 picks is making me like, if we don't have to force a quarterback pick, that's where I would love it. Like, I don't want to take Hooker because he's there and we need a quarterback. You know what I mean? When he's, 26
He's
years
elderly.
old? Like, he's the same age as Joe Burrow. Like, I'm sorry, that's not who I want. I don't want to invest a young pick. And
Yeah,
you know what
you'd
I mean?
rather go get a Bryce Young that has
and honestly,
potential.
and I think I'm trying to fight that with myself because I think we're too good to have a shot at Bryce Young.
That's my
and
fear. And that's my fear, because if they're too good and then we get 2 more first round draft picks and then we're middle of the road, then what are we? Then we're in no man's land without a quarterback. And we've talked about time and time, even with Stafford. I mean, we had our quarterback with Stafford and we didn't build the rest of our systems.
Yeah.
But we've never had that guy that can just make plays by himself. We've never had Patrick Mahomes dance around the pocket and, like,
Yeah, I
be that guy. You know, I mean, Stafford can. I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability, but he doesn't move like that. And I personally would like the ability to have an athletic quarterback for a while. You know what I mean? And to play into more of what the NFL is right now, because there aren't many Staffords left.
You are looking for someone extremely athletic.
Well, I want the right guy that can move around. I would say Zach Wilson is one of those kind of guys. He's not a running quarterback, but can he move? Yeah, he can run around people.
Yeah.
But is he great?
No, but I'm just saying like that. I guess I'm just using
would
an
you
example.
take Zach Wilson or Jared Goff?
Oh, Zach Wilson. 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still,
Interesting.
I know.
See, that's where I would like kind of like. I feel like we look at even that quarterback draft class, right? You had, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson,
Trey Lance,
Mac Jones.
Yep.
Justin Fields. Sorry, was before Mac Jones. Like, I don't love any of those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think we're kind of learning that that's not the necessarily the best way to build.
Yeah, but what I see is that Jared Goff will never be that guy.
Well, why? He was that with the Rams.
No,
he put up incredible numbers with the Rams.
Well,
he was never the athletic guy, but like he got them to he had an incredible season and then a pretty good playoff up until that final game.
Yeah,
really.
Rams were ahead of their game though.
I agree with that,
time.
but like I don't think that's necessarily not possible for the Lions. For what we're seeing with Ben Johnson, I think creative offense. I don't think Dan Campbell's a genius like whatever that dude's name in LA is. But like that's how we're gonna win is with our coaching staff, right? And I think if you have the right coaching staff, the right game plan, a Jared Goff can get you to a level that we haven't seen in our lifetime, really. And I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Do I think it's gonna if he's ever gonna win a Super Bowl? No, I don't. But I don't know.
But that's where you need to like kind of pump the brakes, though, right? Like if you honestly believe right now, he's not going to win you the Super Bowl, then what's the point?
Building a something that's
then
respectable in the league,
right? But then you have time for someone to come in and learn the systems and grow and build.
So, but think about long-term success in the NFL. We don't see teams that are built on defense and built on everything else, everything but the quarterback. We don't see teams succeed over a long period of time without that quarterback.
That's true.
We've seen the Steelers do it with Roethlisberger. We've seen, obviously, any team that Tom Brady's on. We saw the Colts with Peyton Manning. Chiefs right now,
Mahomes,
right? Yeah, I mean, Packers for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen teams have sustained success, and then you can start putting some pieces together and draft picks in a creative way. But you're constant from that quarterback gives you a chance to win on a game-in, game-out basis.
So I think it's absolutely I think it's terrible the way some teams choose to build, and they build their defense, they build their offense, and then they select that top-tier QB and expect him to be like the next coming of Jesus.
Yeah,
the
thing that puts you up and over, right?
Right, in the rookie year or the second year. That's a far cry for so many teams, so many hopeful teams. Like, and then you have that window shrinking drastically once you have all these contracts on your offense and your defense, and then you're waiting for your QB to come around. Yeah. That like, man, he was so promising. Da 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 da. Well, look what happened with Tua. Look what happened with Joe Burrow. It didn't happen right away. And these guys were the QB in their classes.
Burrow, it kind of happened right away, second year.
That's what I'm saying. Second year, it didn't happen in the first
year. No, and I agree with you. I think and that's why we need to pull the trigger now, because a lot of these draft picks that have started under Brad Holmes, they're 5-year contracts max for the rookie deals, so we're not going to get them long term. We need the quarterback to be growing within the team right now. Take advantage of a low salary that's team friendly with a quarterback from the draft class, and hopefully you've built up the rest of the team to start that easing in process, because you're going to need a good offensive line for a young quarterback. You're going to need weapons on offense to help him. Man, that sounds like the Lions. Offensive line, weapons, and a defense that hopefully can continue to progress.
I think you guys are. It's literally I got the devil on one side, the angel on the other, telling me all of these different things, and you guys are one of them too. I don't know which one's the angel. I don't know what the devil is, but like that's
in the outfield.
That's kind of where it is. I'm just like, I don't know which way I want to go. I don't know what I believe this is, and I also don't know if I trust this regime to use a young quarterback correctly. You know what I mean? Like all of these questions are going through my head, and also I always throw in the the potential of quarterback carousel. We've seen it partially 2 years ago, a little bit, tons last year. I'm like, is that a possibility, a way to bring in the quarterback that's ready to win and can jump into this, what we have, what we think we have. I'm not saying that we're there, but like jump into this scenario where we have all these other weapons. Like let's say you can get 2 top 10 defenders next year in this draft. All of a sudden you start building this defense along with one of the better offenses when they're healthy, put in a really good quarterback, and all of a sudden this team's ready to go quicker than what we're realizing. You know what I mean? Like, I think I play with that as well. Like maybe finding a proven quarterback is the better way to go rather than going young. And it's just, again,
maybe that's hard to do.
All of those things are just going through my head,
maybe.
and it just sucks. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
like
Matt
that
Ryan
we're
didn't
here.
turn out.
No, that's true. But they also, the reason why they sat him is for contract purposes. Because if he
Yeah.
gets hurt, then they have to pay him more or something like that. I don't know.
Russell Wilson didn't turn out.
Yeah, it's not a surefire thing.
And really, neither is a quarterback draft.
No, and it's not. You're right. But
Yeah.
but when you have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks in the same year,
Yeah.
that's a great way to
setting them-
still get talent while you invest in a quarterback.
They're setting themselves up to move up to get who they want when they want them.
Yeah.
More than anything. It's like they're probably not going to make 2 first-round picks in this next year.
Well,
this next
if they're
year's draft.
bad enough, then they might.
Yeah, that's true. They might get both. They might win
That's why, like, playing against the Packers, we're winning that game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pumped. Like, I'm like, come on, like, let's go win the game. In the back of my mind, I'm like, but I kind
I
of like,
know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of like
I
the best
I think I
quarterback
would have
out
been
of the
okay
bunch.
with losing if I wasn't sitting next to Micah. Then sitting next to Micah, I was like, all right, this is like, and then his Max is at a whole nother level.
Oh, I know.
I'm just
He's
like,
trained Max.
all right, buddy. All right,
Dude,
cool it, bud.
he is very intense.
I had to. So we
He's
started
intense.
watching upstairs, and Max was just going berserk the first couple plays. I'm all right. I'm going downstairs. Walk downstairs by myself, just sitting there watching the game. Like I didn't want to say something mean, you know. I'm doing it for because I love the kid.
Because you will say something to me.
Yeah, exactly. So I just sat downstairs, and all of a sudden, Jordan walks down the stairs. All of a sudden, Easton walks down the stairs. Then Max comes down. They just jump right on the couch next to me, and Max just going. Then I get it. Like, I'm saying this in love. You know that. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, yeah, okay. And I go back upstairs. No, it was so much fun. It was just a fun game to watch kind of together, even though the game was kind of boring. But Goff went 14 of 26,
This is tense,
137 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Rodgers, 23 of 43 for 291 yards, 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. I don't think that we've ever forced that many interceptions on Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think he's thrown that
all
many.
3 of them were caught
No,
inside the 5-yard
ugly.
line. That was awesome. I loved every second of it. I'm not gonna lie. Jamal Williams got the bulk of the carries. Obviously, Swift still on a pitch count of some sort. He had 24 carries for 81 yards. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 catches for 55 yards. I want to see him kind of get back to what he was before his injury. I think that's going to be important here moving forward. Obviously, the brothers play each other on Sunday, which will be fun. The 2 St. Browns. Because he's on the Bears now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that'll be kind of cool. But Swift did get 3 catches for 40 yards. He was our second leading receiver. Without Hawkinson, we had a couple tight ends get in the game here with Mitchell and who was the other one? Zielstra. Zielstra had the 1 touchdown catch. Mitchell had 2 catches, 1 for a first down, 1 for a touchdown. So that was kind of cool to see.
I like Mitchell.
What did you think about the Hawkinson trade? I don't want to go too long on it, but I want to get your thoughts.
I think it was absolutely the right move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an asset that we had to get more future assets, and I thought the haul was pretty good.
You know, I did too. I don't like that we had to give up a second, 4th round pick, and I know like a second, 4th round pick isn't a big, but we just more or less moved up in these next 2 drafts rather than
From a third to 2 fourths for a second and a third.
we got a second and a third, second in next year, 3rd in the following,
And then
we gave up a
fourths.
4th this year, 4th next year.
Yeah.
So like I like to add quantity. You know what I mean? I get the quality side. Like, you're going to get a better pick, and I love that. Don't get me wrong. But it's like I would have liked to add a draft pick. You know what I mean? It would have been as easy as not giving
numbers.
up a 4th rounder. You know what I mean?
I think it shows that maybe Brad Holmes has more value in the 2nd and 3rd round than other people. Maybe he sees that group of talent just year in, year out from the drafts, that's where he wants to have more selections.
Yep.
And I see that, even though he's been pretty successful in the 4th round so far. But
He has, yeah. And he hasn't been successful in the 2nd round.
yeah, no, well, yeah,
because everybody's hurt. All right. Anyways, total yards, 389 for the Packers, 254 for the Lions. First downs were both 19 and 19, which is pretty interesting. Packers, 1 for 4 on 4th down. Lions, 0 for 2 on 4th down. And then 6 of 11 on 3rd for the Lions and 8 of 15 on 3rd for the Packers. It was a really weird game. Like I already said that. And I was shocked when I saw that the Packers had 3 total possessions. It was actually 4, but 1 was a kneel to end the first half. 3 possessions for the Packers in that first half. That's exactly how you beat a Packers. Look, and I'm not – this isn't the same type of Packers that we were used to, obviously. But that's how you beat Aaron Rodgers is you limit his possessions, period. And when you're turning them into turnovers, that changes everything. That's how you hold them to, 9 total points. I get that. But limit his possessions and get 1 takeaway, and you're setting yourself up to at least be close.
Yeah, what's interesting about that is the time of possession, though, was in Packers' favor.
Yeah, they held the ball for so long.
So it was the bend not break, like what you're saying. They forced them to execute each play down the field, slowly, methodically get down the field, and then the mistake happened, the turnover, and it's all for none at that point. You just spent all that time off the clock for a big 0.
Yeah, and the Lions actually did a good job of responding with long-ish drives. Not like anything crazy, but like when you have these long drives on your defense, you gotta have the ball. You gotta get a couple first downs to give them that extra rest, which I thought they did a good job with that. Kirby Joseph, what can we say about dude? Love what he's done since stepping in for Will Harris. Nope, Tracy Walker. I always get those two confused. I don't know why. So he was the 3rd round pick, 97th overall in 2022 out of Illinois. He had 5 tackles, 5 assists, 2 interceptions. Obviously, that one that was thrown off of Derek Barnes' head and popped up, he did a good job getting that. But that second one that he had, I think it was in the second half, when he jumped that route.
Oh, he jumped it.
It was a pretty good throw, a little underthrown, which I think Rodgers did most of the game. But the way he jumped that route was awesome.
So when I'm watching slow motion, and I know, and they said it on TV too, like it was thrown a little bit behind him. I don't care if that ball was right in the perfect spot over his shoulder. I think Joseph is picking that ball off.
Yeah.
No matter what.
He jumped.
He had such a good jump on that, and he just, he's a ball hawk.
Yeah.
That's what he was known for in his last year in Illinois, and that you've seen it.
Yeah.
And he's so aggressive in his movement, so when he commits, he's all in.
Even outside of the 2 interceptions, I think his best play, and they did a great job of explaining it.
The tip?
That tip. So,
man.
He was at the line of scrimmage, and then Sue just booked it, and he made that broke up that pass at the goal line, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
That might have been even the same drive as the interception, maybe.
No.
It wasn't?
No, it was after both of his interceptions.
Okay.
So that was his
It was such a good
huge play. Well, and what I think is so underrated about that is he turned to see where the ball was.
Okay.
And I don't think that's a skill that I see very often in the league right now. You see cornerbacks get beat when all they have to do is turn around and see the ball, and they have a good chance of picking it. You see them get beat on those plays all the time.
Because they don't just turn around.
Because they don't see it. Because they're so focused on, and maybe it's the way they're coached up these days. I don't know. But safeties and cornerbacks that have that knack of knowing, Charles Woodson always had it, knowing where the ball is in the air is what an advantage for a defense to have that. If they in the right position, now they're in the lead here.
Yeah. I think a lot of the way they're brought up now in the NFL is when they're running, when they're back to the ball, they're looking at the receiver's eyes and their hands. The good receivers keep their hands down until the very last moment and put their hands out.
You're right, because then they're taught to go between the arms and,
correct.
and hit it out.
They see their hands come up, a second or two early. Instantly, that tells that DB, I'm gonna get my hands up. I don't have my eyes on the ball. I'm gonna get my hands up and in their face.
But then they lose the ball.
Right.
Or they never get the ball.
They don't care about taking the ball. It's about
it.
just batting the ball down for those types of players.
But you're right, because what a play. And Joseph goes all the way from the line of scrimmage, sprints back to the middle of the field on a seam route, and tips it.
And
almost one-handed.
He's getting a ton of experience right now, and as soon as Tracy Walker gets healthy next year, and you have him right next to him, I don't know if they run two safeties. Like I don't know what.
Yeah,
kind of
Elliott's
defense.
the other one.
But okay, Elliott, which I really like Deshaun
Yeah, I
Elliott
do
too.
too.
But like that's the kind of stuff that's exciting. Malcolm Rodriguez, 4 tackles. I mean, I think this was an underwhelming game for him for the most part, but
Got hurt early.
he did get hurt as well. Josh Pascal, love what he's done since coming in. I think he's had some incredible, and it's not like the sacks and stuff that people notice, but like he's making plays and he's doing exactly what Brockers was supposed to be doing at that similar position. I know they kind of move him to the edge a little bit, but they're moving him all around that line, which you get in that extra size there, right? Like, what do you think about what you've seen from Pascal so far?
Oh, I love it. I think he's a football player, just like what we knew he was when he got drafted. He actually looks bigger than he did in college, doesn't he?
He does. He looks big.
Like he was a big dude in college too, and we knew that he could play inside or outside, but he looks to me like an interior guy, like an athletic interior guy, but still moves well enough to be on the outside. And actually, he's very similar to Aiden Hutchinson, I would say.
Okay.
And not in their play style necessarily, but in their ability to be a big defensive end when needed and still get after the quarterback, because sometimes that means, like we saw it with like maybe Trey Flowers when he wasn't at his best. Some of those bigger guys, when they're not going to beat you around the edge, then that means that they're not going to get quarterback pressure.
Yeah.
We've seen the pressure. We've seen him move in on the inside. It just adds so much flexibility to this defense, and our defensive line has needed it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed with Hutchinson, which I thought he had a good game outside of, like, obviously had the interception. No sacks that I noticed. I don't think he had any quarterback pressures technically. I think he deserved a couple, but it doesn't seem like they did. But I also noticed that he was getting double teamed constantly.
He was.
So I think Pascal will be the one that kind of changes that for him a little bit, where you can't necessarily think about Hutchinson only. But I didn't want to say, like, rookie ranks, and I know that's, who cares really about that, because you don't want to compare him to the rookies. You want to compare him to elite players in the NFL. But he has 4.5 sacks, which is first for rookies. Quarterback hits, which is 9 for rookies, and pressures 24, which is tied for first. He's not a bust. I think there's been that conversation a lot on Detroit Sports Talk Radio, 97.1 The Ticket.
Really?
Certain shows,
especially after the first game.
Yeah. I think he's having a pretty productive year, and I think he's just scraping the surface. But I don't think they're trying to make it too complicated for him. They're just saying go out and do it. You know what I mean? I think he overcommits sometimes, but I think the biggest thing is he's doing it different ways. Like, how many times we see a spin move on Sunday that he came very, very close to Rodgers, and Rodgers, the veteran he is, knows where to go.
That's what he does.
And I get all of that stuff, and you're also going against Bakhtiari, who is one of the better tackles in the league. I know he got hurt and was out for the second half for the most part, but I like what we're seeing from Aiden. What are your thoughts on Aiden that you've seen so far?
I think you're right. He's scratching the surface because he's doing the most or the majority of his work right now, going straight up against people and bull rushing him, and that wasn't how he won in college. But I think he's getting a feel for the NFL right now. He's got agility. He's got some elite traits that other people don't have, and we've seen that come to light too. But he still is bull rushing almost every single time up in the game. So I think he's learning the difference between, if you bull rush in the NFL, you can wear out the opponent, but it's not like college. So college, if you do it over and over, they end up giving up, or they end up getting tired, or something where you've now dominated the other person who doesn't compare to you.
Yeah.
And I think he can use that to his advantage, because the bull rush sets up everything else. And so he's going to continue to do that. I think that's how he's going to always win in the NFL. But he's got to start understanding some of these other tricks to play off of that. Yeah. And I fully expect him to. He's a sponge. That's what Dan Campbell talks about.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed is he was off the field a lot more this game, like for full drives. I felt like feel like they were resting him a little bit more so they could try to get that big play out of him, which I don't think is that big of an overreaction. The best pass rushers really don't play every down. Oh, I think he can.
They have relied on Hutchinson so much.
It's insane.
So if we're talking about being underwhelming in any way, I don't want to hear it, because he's been our rock solid guy. I mean, him and
day one, really.
Yeah, I mean, him and what's his name, 54. on the inside. The two of them have been the mainstays on that defensive line that we can count on all the time.
Mhm.
They're in the game constantly. McNeil and Lee McNeil.
McNeil. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like those two guys, which both, second year guy and a rookie.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff, and also the defensive line. Those are the positions where young guys don't necessarily succeed right away. It takes them a few years because you develop that man strength overall, and like we know you're a freak of an athlete right now, but in a few years you're going to develop your NFL strength on top of all that.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
Another young player that I think we need to talk about is Derek Barnes. I think he had one of his best games. Actually, the last 2 games he's looked good, and it's not like a consistent big plays like every down linebacker type thing. But man, that hit that he put on A.J. Dillon to stop him at the goal line was big time.
Not
play.
easy to do.
That was a big time play against a player that you don't do. Nobody does that.
No.
Against him. Like that was he hit that hole so hard, and that was such a big play in the moment. And he ended up with 12 total tackles. He had 1 sack, and just the game-changing type plays I think were really eye-opening.
So,
and I feel like that's the back-to-back games that he's starting to find his niche, if you will.
Oh, I agree.
In this league, which
it's
is important.
I think it's the style of play that they're allowing him to play downfield more too, and just aggressive, moving forward rather than doing anything in coverage behind him. He does play the coverage pretty well, and they actually talked about him covering the seams fairly well too because he's a good straight line runner. They need to continue to do what they're doing. They're allowing him to be the physical athlete and engage at the line of scrimmage, which he was a defensive lineman at Purdue.
Yeah.
Right? He was a pass rusher. So we know he's got long arms. We know he's got strength. Yeah, go do that. Go be that aggressive lineman, and then Malcolm Rodriguez can run around the field and cover up anything else that needs to happen.
Hit everybody really hard.
Yeah, so I mean, I really like the dynamic that they're starting to create on the defense. And
still a position in need, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%. But to go back to A.J. Dillon though, do you remember the hit that Dillon put on against Deshaun Elliott, safety? So Elliott is a hard hitting
known to
safety.
be a hard hitting.
Oh yeah, he lays people out quite a bit.
Yeah.
And Elliott went in low, and Dillon got lower. And it, like, I felt the pain for him. I was like, oh, man, that shocked right through his shoulder. And that was like, man, and I actually told Ari, I'm like, that Dillon dude, that's the kind of guy that you look at and you're like, oh, no, I don't want to tackle him.
Yeah.
And you get hit hard once, and then you don't go in at the same speed the second time or the third time or the fourth. But then Barnes goes and gets him. Yeah. Like that, it says a lot.
Yep. We already talked kind of about do we want to win, do we want to lose. I do want to talk a little bit about the coaching decisions, and I don't want to overreact on it, but it continues to be an issue. And Ryan, you kind of already mentioned that. It's like you have to be aggressive, but I also think that we're kind of getting on that line of stupid and aggressive, and I'm curious what your thoughts. So